Hello, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Hannah and I live in Los Angeles with my husband Alex and our dog Kaboom. Today is a very exciting day because we are going to be getting a foster dog. We are going to be temporary fosters, so it's going to be a short-term situation, and it's pretty much exactly going to be like the last time we fostered, which was our very first time fostering. So I talk about this in my first vlog, my first ever vlog. I talked about how we lost our dog Merle. So our dog Merle died at the end of October of last year, and then we adopted Kaboom in December. But before we adopted Kaboom, we weren't yet ready to adopt another dog, but we ended up fostering a dog for Thanksgiving. We adopted Kaboom from Angel City Pit Bulls, which is an organization based here in Los Angeles, and it's also where we fostered and where we are going to be fostering again. So this is all through Angel City. So we fostered a dog named Blanca last November, and we had her for 3 nights, and that was a very healing and informative experience for us. So we had Blanca for 3 nights. She had a long-term foster dad, and he was gonna be away for Thanksgiving, and she did not do well at Angel City Pit Bulls facility. So they wanted her to be able to stay in a home environment while her foster dad was away and not have to stay at their facility. So we were able to provide her with a home for 3 nights. We're essentially doing the same thing again this time around. The dog that we're fostering, his name is Giuseppe, and he has a long-term foster parent, but they are going to be away this weekend. So we are going to be fostering him temporarily for a few nights. We are getting him today. Today is Wednesday, and we potentially will have him until Sunday. However, there is an event that Angel City Pit Bulls is a part of, and they want Giuseppe to be able to attend the event sort of as an ambassador. And so there is a possibility that he would be adopted on Saturday, and therefore I think that would mean he wouldn't be coming back home with us for Saturday night. So we are going to be fostering him minimum 3 nights, maximum 4. The particularly exciting thing about this situation is that, like Kaboom, Giuseppe is a tripod. And so this is our first time fostering a dog while having another dog. So it's our first time fostering with Kaboom. When we fostered Blanca, we didn't have another dog. So this is our first time fostering when we already have a dog in our home. But we are gonna have 2 tripods in our home. And Giuseppe, he is missing his right front leg, whereas Kaboom is missing his left front leg. And it's the same situation for Giuseppe as it was with Kaboom, where Angel City rescued Giuseppe before he had his surgery, and so they provided the funding for him to be able to get the amputation surgery, which is what happened with Kaboom. So Angel City saved both dogs from the shelter, rescued them, and then was able to raise money for their surgeries. So it's like a very similar situation. I am a bit worried that I'm gonna fall completely in love and want to adopt. I'm a little worried. I'm also interested to see what Kaboom thinks. Obviously what Kaboom says goes. So if he's not thrilled about having a foster sibling and having to share his space, then it is what it is. We are committing to this short-term experience for a reason. Like, I just don't feel like it would be the best idea to commit to something long-term, because there are definitely dogs where Angel City is looking for a long-term foster situation, and they don't want to have to be shuffling the dog around too much or at all. Ultimately, for us, not knowing how Kaboom is going to be now that he's in his forever home, because he was, when he was fostered, I think he ended up in multiple homes, but the home that he was last in before we adopted him, there was another dog, but it was a senior dog, and Kaboom's foster parents had had that dog for a really long time. And so I think that the dynamics were very different, obviously, because Kaboom's coming into a home with an already existing dog, and now he's the one who is in the forever home, and then there's a foster coming in. So just because he's good with other dogs, I just am interested, a little anxious, admittedly, to see how he's going to be with a dog coming into his forever home, because this is very much his home. He knows it, and I just don't want him to be stressed out at all, at least not too much, because I think obviously any sort of change is going to be potentially tricky. Change is difficult. It's just gonna be interesting to see what it's like having two tripods, because I don't know if Kaboom has ever met another tripod before, or if Giuseppe has ever met another tripod before. We'll see what happens. I'm very, very excited, but also nervous, and I definitely am a little concerned that I'm going to just want to adopt a second dog and have two tripods. So there's part of me that's just really hoping that it goes very smoothly, but we just know that ultimately it works best for Kaboom, for him to have his home to himself, and for Giuseppe to be able to get adopted by his forever family. Really would love to just have things work out in such a way where this experience is very enjoyable for everyone involved. Okay, great. The battery is dying. Wonderful. So yeah, that is what is happening today. Very exciting. So in preparation for Giuseppe's arrival, I am going to set up a crate for him in the bedroom. I think that I'm going to move the writing desk and the lidded basket that we have, as well as possibly the stool. I'm gonna try to move out as much as possible, because it's gonna be quite tight in the bedroom having the crate in addition to Kaboom's bed. When we fostered Blanca, and then when we first adopted Kaboom, we had the crate in the corner where Kaboom's bed is now. So Giuseppe is a smaller guy. Apparently he's quite small, which is also very exciting. So he's in a medium-sized crate, so a size smaller than Kaboom. So hopefully it is okay sort of being under or in front of the window, because I want to leave Kaboom's bed where it normally is. So join me now as I start getting the bedroom set up for Giuseppe's arrival, to prepare to host Giuseppe for a few nights. So yeah, let's start clearing stuff out in the bedroom and then set up the crate with me. All right. Okay, so I want to leave Kaboom's bed where it normally is. So the plan is for the crate to be here. So I'm gonna move this stuff out and then I'll come back to set up the crate. Okay, so the space is now cleared, so I'm then going to bring the crate in and get it set up. Okay, so the unfortunate thing about the crate orientation with where it would be going in the room is the fact that, so it has a front door and then it has a side door. And so originally I was thinking of having the front door be right here. If the front door was here, then the side door would be blocked and you wouldn't be able to use it. I think maybe we're gonna end up using the side door, and therefore I think the crate should be this way so the side door isn't blocked. I did purchase a crate pad, an orthopedic one, but Angel City provides you with a crate and the food, and so you don't really have to spend anything out of pocket, but I just feel like a crate pad, especially an orthopedic one, is absolutely necessary. And then I do have a second set of blankets for Kaboom, and so Kaboom is gonna let Giuseppe borrow those. So yeah, so I'm gonna set up the crate. Okay. What's that? That's for Giuseppe. That's not for Kaboom. Yeah, you don't have to go in there. No, that's not for you. He's definitely a bit unsure. Yeah, you go on the bed. You don't go in the crate. Go boy. Yeah. Okay, so Kaboom helped me set up the crate, and we have the crate pad all ready. Yes, you good boy. Yes. Yeah. So Kaboom is letting Giuseppe borrow his blankets, and I put one of my yoga blankets as a little cover. So this is the current setup. What do you think, Kaboom? Yeah, he's anxious. He's like, what is happening right now? I don't like it. I thought I graduated in my big boy bed, and this crate kind of seems too small. Yeah. No, you have your bed. Let's close up the crate. Let's close it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're all ready for Giuseppe. Kaboom, are you all ready to be a foster brother? Yeah? What do you think? What do you think? Good boy. Yeah. So Alex is currently en route to pick up Giuseppe, and Kaboom and I are anxiously awaiting their arrival. You're currently positioned on the crate. Kaboom knows something's going on. Kaboom knows something's up and is now hiding behind my head. I just thought I would check back in, and I know that it's just going to be too overwhelming when I meet Giuseppe and then Giuseppe and Kaboom meet, and there's just no way that I'm gonna have it together to be able to film the introductions. I just know myself well enough to know that that is just gonna be a little bit too much. We're all a little too excited. And so I think I'll just need to wait until we've all met one another and things have calmed down a bit to then introduce you to Giuseppe. So I just wanted to check back in. So I would like to introduce you to Giuseppe. He really is the sweetest, cutest little guy, and he's so incredibly loving. He's 11 months old, and I think he's been a tripod for a couple of months now at least. I will say that the initial introduction of Giuseppe and Kaboom was a bit rocky. Understandably, Giuseppe was very anxious and overwhelmed, so he came into the introduction with a lot of nervous energy and was very much full on. And so I was so proud of Kaboom because he really took it in stride. And then once the dust settled and a little bit of time passed, the two were just non-stop playing up until bedtime. So thankfully, the rockiest it ever got was just that initial introduction, which is completely understandable, but I was so proud of Kaboom and how he handled himself. And understandably, it was very stressful for Giuseppe, and so I think he did great as well. And they just had the best time playing together, and they played together all weekend. They just were getting along great, two pals, so they really enjoyed their playtime together. Ultimately, Giuseppe's day was quite the whirlwind. So I did not end up vlogging it in the traditional sense of talking to you as the weekend progressed, but I do have a bunch of video that I ended up taking sporadically throughout the long weekend. So Giuseppe is now back with his long-term foster parents. We ended up having him for the full 4 nights. So we actually ended up having to pick him up early from the event on Saturday that we dropped him off at because he really wasn't enjoying himself. He was understandably very overstimulated. I think it was a big weekend for him, and I think he missed playing with Kaboom. So that meant we got to have more time with him, not only on Saturday, but then we got to have him for that 4th night before then returning him to his long-term foster family on Sunday. Kaboom was truly the best boy, and honestly a perfect foster brother for Giuseppe in my opinion. I think that it was really great for Giuseppe not only to meet another tripod, but to have them get along so great, and Giuseppe to have this big brother, even if it was just for a few nights. I think it was really good for him. And then I do think it was really good for Kaboom to pay it forward, because he had been in Giuseppe's position, and I think was really good for Kaboom to be a big foster brother on behalf of Angel City Pit Bulls. Kaboom genuinely loved playing with Giuseppe and was so great with him, but Kaboom's personality was definitely muted, I would say. In the short time that we had Giuseppe, I felt myself missing Kaboom because he really wasn't completely himself. Kaboom was really just trying to be the best boy, and he was just such a good sport. Like he really was making the effort and being so patient and generous. He just like wasn't loving it. You could tell he was sad. If you didn't know better based on how he was playing with Giuseppe, and the footage I have, a lot of it is just very much like a highlight reel, but then there are times when Giuseppe would want to lay next to Kaboom, and I would try to capture it because it's this really cute moment where they're like laying next to one another. And of course then like Kaboom very much does not want his personal space invaded, understandably, and so as Giuseppe goes to settle in, Kaboom then has to remove himself from the situation. You know, Kaboom's well-being is everything to us. He is really our only priority at this point in time, so if he's not completely signing off on something, then it's just not happening. And that's just how it is. Because Alex and I did completely fall in love with Giuseppe. He's like absolutely a dog that we would adopt. But Kaboom's not completely on board, and therefore what Kaboom says goes. That's what it is. You know, I get so attached. Fostering's really difficult, and I don't think it's for everyone, because I do think that there are certain people who can handle it better than others. And I think that I just get so emotionally invested, and it really is hard to then say goodbye and to just send your foster on their way. I would love to have a farm where I could just adopt all the animals, but unfortunately that is not my reality. And so it's bittersweet, because it's like we had this incredible foster experience, but then it just means that it's a lot harder when it comes to an end. Obviously it was sort of too perfect for words, the fact that Kaboom is a tripod just like Giuseppe, and so for Giuseppe to be able to have a foster brother who is a tripod just like him, I just think that it was absolutely meant to be in terms of us being a part of his journey to adoption. And so I'm like so glad that we were able to foster him for a few nights and for Giuseppe to be able to meet Kaboom. But yeah, I don't know if Alex and I are cut out for fostering, and certainly like Kaboom doesn't love sharing his home, and so I don't think that we are going to be fostering again. I mean, never say never, but we were so glad to be able to have this experience. I think it was also really important for us to just try it out, because we just didn't know how it was going to be with Kaboom. It was our first time fostering a dog, having a dog already. So having 2 dogs at once, that was an exciting new experience for us. And the great thing is that it was so enjoyable, because it could have been just like an absolute nightmare and just like a chaotic mess in a bad way, but it was just like, it was a very lively household for 4 nights. Like it was definitely a lot more active in the house than it typically is. Ultimately, I was just so glad that we were able to foster Giuseppe for a few nights and to have the experience that we did. He truly is the best dog. It was absolutely worth it. We're so glad we did it. And Kaboom, I think, is so glad he did it, because now he's just been loving life. He just like immediately came back to his full self. So that very much confirmed for us that we were making the right decision. He's just really been taking advantage of getting to nap uninterrupted and getting to lounge anywhere that he wants without having another dog invade his personal space. Kaboom, I think, really enjoys a play date, but not a sleepover, which I very much understand. Like mother, like son, like that really resonates with me. But yeah, like we love Giuseppe so much, and Giuseppe seemed to just have the best time, and he was just so chill. Hopefully Giuseppe is just about to get adopted. As of now, Giuseppe is still available for adoption, so if you want to adopt the cutest, sweetest little tripod, yeah, thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey. I hope that you enjoyed. Until next time.